sea otter's doing so great. The California sea otters, they go up and then they have a dip, and then they go up a little bit and then they have a dip, and I think they're kind of leveling off. They've always grown slower than the otter populations in Alaska and off of Washington and off of Vancouver Island. And there's a lot of people working on it. There's a lot of very smart people that are trying to figure out what's going on. And I worked on a project with 20 different people trying to figure out, you know, is it diet? Is it disease? Is it because there's so many people down there in California? Pollutants, pathogens from dogs and cats and other things. Is it genetic diversity because of that fur trade, and they lost so many numbers? They went from 100,000 down to less than 1,000. They lost 99% of their numbers. They did lose genetic diversity. We actually did work on that. They lost half of their genetic diversity because of the fur trade. And that's what's needed to respond to new diseases and differences in prey, climate change, all that kind of stuff. So the answer is nobody knows. We don't think it's one thing that is happening in California. It's multiple things. So they are living in an area that's most densely populated by people. So there's more pollution from just people living along the water than in anywhere else, than in Washington or Vancouver Island or Alaska. There's massive agriculture just inland of Monterey, for example, which is Salinas Valley, and all the chemicals, the pesticides and fertilizers come down the Salinas River and go right into Monterey Bay, which is where the sea otters are. So they have to deal with pollutants, chemicals, they have to deal with diseases that come from dogs and cats and possums and other things, and they have found a dye for many of those diseases. One of the biggest things in California is they've been there since the fur trade, so they're called a remnant population, and they think that now they're food limited. So they like to eat the same things people do, so crabs, clams, urchins, abalone, and they have to eat a lot because they don't have a blubber layer, so they eat 25% of their body weight every day just to stay warm, because they're relying on just this really high metabolism to stay warm, as well as this extremely big fur, which is why they were hunted so much for the fur trade. So right now the biggest theory is that the sea otters in California aren't growing as quickly as possible because they just don't have enough food to support a growing population. But then also there's a lot of diseases that they're dealing with. They have low genetic diversity, they're dealing with all this pollution. So they have a lot of different things going on, but the prevailing theory right now is really food limitation. So they need to move into an area that hasn't had sea otters there for a while and doesn't have a lot of fishing by humans or a lot of competition. And maybe the sea otters in California, you know, but right now there's about 2,500, I think, or 2,800. Maybe that's as many as Central California can support.
Yeah.